Good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. I'm Theruni Karunaratna. Today, as we celebrate the International Women's Day, we honor the incredible achievements, strength and resilience of women all around the world. From breaking barriers to inspiring change, women continue to shape our future in extraordinary ways. And we at Newsfirst extend our heartfelt wishes to all the courageous women out there, celebrating your contributions, your triumphs, and the powerful impact you make on this world. Let's start off tonight's bulletin with a look at the headlines. No obstacles in achieving justice for past crimes. Statement from the Deputy Minister of Public Security. Sri Lanka ready to advance IMF program aligning with people's aspirations. President tells IMF Managing Director. Investigations into losses incurred by the government from former MPs and ministers who bought houses at low prices in Biatpura. Adani wind power project not yet cancelled. Minister of Energy confirms. Cyclone Alfred. Warnings issued for 2 Australian states. No threats to Sri Lankans, says the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia win the Battle of the Blues after 6 years. And in your top story this evening, more than 300,000 properties are without power as a tropical storm edges closer to Australia's east coast, lashing the region with heavy rain. Storm Alfred has been downgraded from a cyclone to a tropical low, but local authorities have warned that the threat it poses is not over. Tropical cyclone Alfred has weakened into a tropical low-weather system, but officials have warned that the storm can still bring severe winds and flooding to the eastern coast of Australia. The cyclone, which weakened early today, crossed the islands off the coast of Queensland state overnight and is now heading towards the mainland. Violent winds have already downed trees and power lines, with roads flooded in low-lying areas as the storm approaches landfall. Alfred is forecast to hit the coast near Brisbane before moving further inward. Tens of thousands of people have been told to evacuate from the storm's path, while others have been urged to stay indoors. 4 million people across Queensland and northern New South Wales are in the firing line of the storm.
We've got the equipment ready to go into trailers and floats and that sort of stuff, and it all just rolls out.
With dozens of weather warnings in place across both areas. Emergency services say they are working with energy companies after some residents were told they could be without power for days. Around 287,000 customers are experiencing outages in southeast Queensland, and more than 42,600 homes and businesses in New South Wales had experienced blackouts. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan Ministry of Foreign Affairs has said that so far no reports have been received regarding any threat to Sri Lankans residing in Queensland and northern New South Wales due to the ex-tropical cyclone Alfred. The ministry added that officials at the Sri Lankan High Commission in Australia are closely monitoring the situation. St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia won the 146th Battle of the Blues by beating their arch-rivals Royal College, Colombo by 5 wickets in a thrilling encounter today. The Battle of the Blues, which began in 1879, is the second longest-running annual school cricket encounter in the world. St. Thomas's College won after a gap of 6 years.
St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia won the 146th Battle of the Blues held at the SSC grounds in Colombo. Batting first, Royal College declared their innings at 319 for 7 wickets, with Rehan Piri scoring 158 runs. However, on the second day, St. Thomas's College rallied and scored 302 runs in their first innings, with Dinet Gunawardena scoring 119 runs. In their second innings, Rehan Piri and captain Ramiro Pereira scored half-centuries for Royal College. Darian Marlon Diego of St. Thomas's College delivered an exceptional bowling performance, taking 5 wickets, including a rare hat-trick. In a daring move to force a decisive result, Royal captain Ramiro Pereira declared the second innings at 215 for 8, giving St. Thomas's a target of 233 to win. St. Thomas's College lost their first wicket for just 8 runs in their second innings. Subsequently, Sadev Soisa contributed 53 runs, strengthening St. Thomas's innings. But finally, Reshon Solomons and Dinet Gunawardena steered St. Thomas's College to an epic victory, with both batsmen scoring unbeaten half-centuries. St. Thomas's College reached the target of 233 runs with only 5 wickets lost. This marks their 36th victory in the series, and they win the DSN Anayaka Memorial Shield. The best field of the match was Vimat Dinsara from Royal College, Colombo. Best bowler was Darian Marlon Diego from St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia. Rehan Piri of Royal College, Colombo was awarded Best Batsman. The man of the match was Dinet Gunawardena from St. Thomas's College. The MTV MBC Media Network was the official electronic media partner of the Battle of the Blues for the 16th consecutive year.
Tokyo Super, ඕන වැටකට super. With trendy fashion collections bringing style to Vallavatta. Opening from March 12th at number 42A Gold Road, Vallavatta. Ready for you.
Zuzi Clothing Store.
President Anura Kumara Dissanayake has called upon all women to join the nation's journey towards a new renaissance, aiming to build a secure and civilized society for young girls. In his message for the International Women's Day, the president emphasized that with a production-based economic approach, they strive for an inclusive and just society where all women and girls are empowered. The president said that the government's economic policy has been transformed into a production-based economic process, with plans in place to actively and productively involve women, who make up 51.7% of the country's population. The president's statement highlights that the government has prioritized in ensuring women's rights are protected and promoted by taking action against all forms of violence against women, whether it occurs at home, the workplace, in politics, or any other environment. This includes implementing necessary structural reforms to address and transform these issues. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya delivered a special statement in Parliament today in line with the International Women's Day.
Today, I wish to express our deep respect and gratitude to all the women in Sri Lanka who have struggled in countless ways at various times and for various reasons over the decades. It is because of their perseverance that 22 women are present in Parliament today. In these changing times, women's political voices are receiving greater attention and recognition than ever before. We have fostered leadership across diverse sectors, and this is evident regardless of party affiliation. However, there is still much to be done. According to the Global Gender Gap report, Sri Lanka ranks 110th out of 146 countries. Despite the progress we have made, women still constitute almost 10% of our parliament, but still not sufficient, currently standing at 9.8%. Another significant issue is the participation of women in the workforce. While men's labour force participation is at 74%, the rate for women is only 32%. One crucial aspect often overlooked by international organizations and policymakers is that many women are excluded from the labour market due to their heavy involvement in unpaid care work. While most solutions focus on economic factors, the root issue lies in the unequal distribution of care responsibilities, which overwhelmingly falls on women. As long as care work is viewed solely as a personal responsibility and not recognized as a societal one, we cannot expect to see a meaningful increase in women's participation in the workforce. Until unpaid care work is recognized as a social service rather than a personal duty, and until society acknowledges and responds to this reality, we will not be able to address the fundamental issue. This is why our policy statement and budget, which includes the development of daycare centres, elderly care facilities, public transportation, healthcare and education, are critical to this ongoing struggle.
මේ අරගලේ කොටසක් බවට පත් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ අන්න ඒ නිසා.
Today, during the budget debate on the expenditure heads of the Ministry of Women and Child Affairs in Parliament, there was also a discussion on women's rights.
For many years, I have emphasized the importance of drafting the budget with gender responsivity. I propose the government to implement a gender-responsive budget at least next year. Throughout the years, we have noticed that the Ministry of Women and Child Affairs is allocated lesser funds than other ministries. Although the government is stingy when allocating funds for this ministry, in reality it covers over 66%, almost 75% of the country's population.
මෙවර අයවැයේදී අපි දන්නවා ලංකා ඉතිහාසයේ පළවෙනි වතාවට ස්ත්‍රී පාර්ශවය ගැන ගැහැණුන් ගැන සංවේදී වන ජෙන්ඩර් සෙන්සිටිව් බජට් එකක් ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙනවා ජාතික ජනබලවේගයේ ආණ්ඩුවෙන් කියන එක අපි සතුටින් කියනවා.
We are pleased to announce that for the first time in the history of Sri Lanka, the government of the National People's Power has presented a gender-sensitive budget to its parliament. How the funds are allocated to benefit the population of the country is not the only matter we need to be concerned about. As the government, we have taken the responsibility to making policy and structural changes concerning women and children in the country. It is not as an individual ministry that we have taken the responsibility of guiding our country according to the direction the world is going in and the speed it is moving forward in. We take responsibility for all the children in this country collectively as a government. This budget that we have presented will be in effect for 8 months. This is why we have taken the strongest measures to safeguard and develop women's and children's affairs in the country. We believe in being respected by the respecting others. It is through men respecting women and women respecting men that we can achieve the targets we have as a country. Until then, nothing will change. That is why in our society, we commonly see people insulting one another, suppressing others, harming and hurting others, degrading others and rejections.
ඇති කිරීම ඇතුළේ තමයි මෙන්න මේ අපි කියන ඒ උත්තුංග මානව දර්ශකවලට යන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. එහෙම නොවන තාක්කල් අපි ලඝු වෙනවා, අපි එකිනෙකා අපහාස කර ගැනීම, ඒ පීඩා විඳීම්, හිංසනයට ලක්වීම සහ පාගා දැමීම, අමතක කර දැමීම, ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කිරීම කියන කාරණා අපි අතරේ බොහෝ වෙලාවට පවතින්නේ මෙන්න මේ කාරණාව නිසා.
නීතියෙන් විතරක් කොළවල ලියලා විතරක් මේ අයිතිය තහවුරු කරන්න පුළුවන්ද මිනිස්සුන්ගේ?
Can these rights be established only through laws or written papers without changing people's attitudes? At what point are these attitudes formed? During childhood? How are children's attitudes nurtured? Through their background and their environment around them. If so, for women to be safeguarded, for them to be treated with respect, the changes needs to begin at home. We need legislations and constitutions facilitating this. However, I believe every mother and father has the responsibility of teaching the young boys in their families how to respect women. They should be taught that cooking and washing dishes is simply a life skill and not a responsibility allocated to women. If this attitude change is made now, in 1 or 2 generations' time, we will be able to ensure the safety of women in addition to the drafting of legislation. Men will step forward for this purpose as well. I believe parents hold an immense responsibility in this process.
සමාජයක් නිර්මාණය කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් මම හිතනවා මව්වරුන්ට පියවරුන්ට ලොකු වගකීමක් තියෙනවා.
අපේ රටේ කාන්තාවන් අධ්‍යාපනය පැත්තෙන් බැලුවොත් ඉදිරියෙන් ඉන්නවා කියලා අපිට සඳහන් කරන්නට පුළුවන්. නමුත් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ
When education is considered, women in our country are ahead of men. However, the tendency of Sri Lankan women entering the labour market is about half of that of men. The chance of women being unemployed is twice as much as the chance of men being unemployed. One reason for that is the hesitation of small and medium-scale enterprises to employ women due to the necessity of granting them maternity leave, as well as the high cost they have to endure by employing them.
නිවාඩු දීමනාව නිසා කාන්තාවන් බඳවා ගැනීමේ වියදම වැඩි නිසා යම්කිසි පසුබෑමක් අපිට දක්නට ලැබෙනවා.
මම හිතන්නේ අපි සාකච්ඡා කරන හැම එකක් ඇතුළෙම තියෙන්නේ.
I believe that in the core of everything we are discussing here lies the issue of women not being treated like citizens. We believe that everyone should be able to engage in an 8-hour occupation. There also needs to be a cultural life of 8 hours. To do something you like, to watch a drama, to meet friends, to go to a funeral, another 8 hours should be allocated for sleep, eating and other biological needs. Both men and women engage in their 8-hour job shifts. However, the 8-hour cultural life is not enjoyed by the majority of women. Women are confined to the house or to other institutions. They have no cultural, political or social life. Therefore, I believe that the core matter here is to ensure that women are treated equally as citizens of this country.
With trendy fashion collections bringing style to Valavatta. Opening from March 12th at number 42A Gall Road, Valavatta. Ready for you.
Zuzi Clothing Store.
Every day, millions face the impossible. What happens when clean water feels out of reach? When an entire village is left helpless? When it seemed like no one is listening, Gammatha saw the need. Gammatha took action and a community fought back. A water purification system for a village that once had none. Gammatha, for the people, by the people.
ICC Champions Trophy Cricket තරගාවලියේ අවසන් මහා තරගය ඉන්දියාව සහ නවසීලන්තය අතර හෙට සවස 2:30ට TV1 ඔස්සේ සජීවීව www.sirasatv.lk වෙබ් අඩවිය ඔස්සේද නැරඹිය හැක.
Welcome back. This is Primetime News. Deputy Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs, Attorney Sunil Battagala, has asserted that there are now no barriers to delivering justice for past crimes that were previously suppressed due to political patronage.
A crime statute of limitations doesn't run out overnight. It takes a long time. But the thing about crime is that no matter how hidden they are, the truth eventually comes to light. Al Jazeera's questions are about some serious matters. The Easter Sunday attacks, the bond scam, the central bank scam and the Batalanda torture camp. The report raises concerns about Ranil Wickremesinghe's involvement in these events. When it comes to the central bank bond scam, we tried to arrest Arjuna Mahendran, who was avoiding extradition, but they were sent abroad under the excuse of attending a wedding. We had made it clear that we could arrest him if he stayed in the country, and he promised to come back after the wedding. There's clearly a criminal intent behind that.
සංගවී සිටියට ජාතික ජනබලවේගයේ ආණ්ඩුව කාටත් එකසේ නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා.
The head-to-head program aired recently on Al Jazeera featuring Ranil Wickremesinghe. During the program, host Mehdi Hassan repeatedly questioned Ranil Wickremesinghe about the Batalanda torture camp and the Easter Sunday attacks, which have sparked widespread attention. Hassan accused the former president of being the principal architect behind the illegal detention, torture and murder of members of the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna at a housing complex in Batalanda during the 1980s. Hassan referenced the rebuttal on the Commission report as evidence, and former BBC correspondent Francis Harrison contributed by displaying a copy of the report. However, throughout the discussion, Ranil Wickremesinghe repeatedly claimed that the report was never presented to Parliament and denied the allegations. Ranil Wickremesinghe also convened a press conference where he claimed that his 2-hour-long remarks were not properly represented in the discussion.
News First with the people.
Now, Deputy Minister of Housing TB Sarath has said that the government is closely examining the legal issues involved in recovering losses incurred from providing houses at reduced prices to 26 former ministers who claimed that their properties had been destroyed in fires.
During a debate on the Ministry of Urban Development, Construction and Housing Expenditure heads in Parliament yesterday, Deputy Minister TB Sarath disclosed that former members of Parliament had acquired homes at below market prices at the Viyapura housing complex. He revealed that the government had suffered a financial loss exceeding 225 million rupees due to these discounted transactions.
There are still 50 homes set to be allocated, but no agreements have been finalized. We can halt these allocations immediately, and we have already done so. We have fulfilled the responsibility entrusted to us by the people, preventing a fraudulent transaction worth nearly 400 million rupees that was about to take place with these 50 houses. These agreements will not be signed again. However, we are currently reviewing the legal implications regarding the homes for which agreements have already been executed.
Who are these former MPs? The Urban Development Authority has made a list available to the media. Former MP Prasanna Ranathunga, former MP Muhammad Muzammil, former MP Nimal Pietissa, former MP Gamini Waleboda, former Speaker Mahinda Yapabewardena, former MP Gamini Lokuge, former MP Kumarasiri Ratnayaka, former MP Ajit Rajapaksha, former MP Chintaka Amal Mayadunne, former MP Sahan Pradeep Withana, former MP Milan Jayathilaka, former MP Janaka Tisakutiarachi, former MP D. Veerasinghe, former MP Asanka Navaratna, former MP Bandara Herath, former MP S.M. Chandrasena, former MP Ashoka Priyantha, former MP Kapilata Korala, former MP S.M.M. Musharraf, former MP Premnath C. Dolawata, former MP Shehan Semasinghe, former MP Pial Nishantha, former MP Sumit Udukumbura, former MP Kulasingham Dilipan, former MP Shantha Bandara, former MP Lalit Varnakumara.
President Anurukumar Dissanayake held a highly productive virtual meeting with the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva. The discussion focused on further strengthening the partnership between Sri Lanka and the IMF. The virtual meeting between President Anurukumar Dissanayake and Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, focused on further strengthening the partnership between Sri Lanka and the IMF as the country successfully reaches the halfway mark of its 48-month extended fund facility arrangement, which commenced in March 2023. During the meeting, President Dissanayake expressed his profound appreciation for the IMF's continued support in recovering from the catastrophic economic crisis of 2022. He highlighted the significant progress Sri Lanka has made in implementing economic reforms, strengthening macroeconomic stability, supporting the vulnerable and improving governance. The President appreciated the support of the Managing Director, the senior management and the IMF staff during the debt restructuring process. The Managing Director commended Sri Lanka's efforts in pursuing key reforms and affirmed the IMF's commitment to supporting Sri Lanka's economic agenda. She underlined the importance of strengthening macroeconomic fundamentals with good governance frameworks, especially in the wake of high global uncertainties, slowing global growth and rising global debt levels. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake reaffirmed his commitment to move forward with the IMF program while ensuring that the agreed-upon targets align with the aspirations of the Sri Lankan people, reflecting their strong democratic mandate. Posting on X, Kristalina Georgieva also congratulated him on Sri Lanka's impressive achievements. Minister of Energy Kumara Jayakodi said that the wind power project scheduled to be implemented with the Adani Group has not yet been cancelled. Speaking at the Ministerial Consultative Committee on Energy, Minister Kumara Jayakodi said that it had been referred to the Cabinet for further review due to high costs associated with the Adani Group's power project. He also revealed that the Indian parent company of Adani had informed the Board of Investment in a letter that it would withdraw from the project. As a result, the BOI had informed the ministry about this. The minister said that discussions regarding the wind power project had been held with the representative institution of the Adani Group in Sri Lanka. He added that the institution had been given 2 weeks to respond, and if a negative response is received, the government would consider alternative options. The island-wide programs were held today to promote the Specialized International Express Mail Service, or EMS, of the Sri Lanka Department of Posts. These programs were organized at post offices across the island.
The EMS International Courier Service will allow people abroad to send goods more easily and efficiently. This service will facilitate the shipment of goods to 42 countries within a maximum period of 7 days. Accordingly, the Department of Posts said that this service is available at any post office across the island. A program to inform the general public about the EMS service was held today at the Kotahena Post Office premises. It was chaired by Attorney Lakmali Hemachandra, Member of Parliament for the National People's Power.
The policy of previous governments was to sell post offices located on prime properties. However, we do not share that approach. The Department of Posts does not privatize any of its services. Instead, we are promoting the officers of the Department of Posts as tourist attractions.
Programs to promote the EMS International Courier Service were held today at the Kurunagala Main Post Office, Negambo, Katunayaka and Kochikade post offices, with another session in Kandy.
ICC Champions Trophy cricket තරගාවලියේ අවසන් මහා තරගය ඉන්දියාව සහ නවසීලන්තය අතර හෙට සවස 2:30ට TV1 ඔස්සේ සජීවීව www.sirasatv.lk වෙබ් අඩවිය ඔස්සේද නැරඹිය හැක.
In the heart of Anamadua, lives are changing. For years, patients traveled miles for life-saving treatments, but not anymore. Gammatha renovated a building to establish a dialysis unit at the Anamadua Base Hospital and constructed another building to house a medical-grade water purification system. Gammatha, for the people, by the people. Welcome back. The first phase of the Odu Sudan porcelain factory resumed yesterday under the patronage of Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development Sunil Handunethi. The minister revealed plans to rebuild the entirely collapsed Paranthan chemical factory as well. Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development Sunil Handunethi conducted a site inspection of the Paranthan chemical factory in Kilinochchi to assess the ongoing development initiatives in the northern province. During his visit, he engaged with officials on strategies for reviving the factory.
අපේ අයවැය යෝජනාවක්ම තියෙනවා මෙතන මේ ස්ථානයේ පරන්තන් වල chemical
We have submitted a budget proposal to establish a chemical zone in this area. As such, a zone previously existed. Paranthan Chemical was once renowned throughout the country for its production capabilities. When we were students, we learnt about its prominence. But today, it is merely an empty site. However, we are collaborating with the Board of Investment to transform this land. Our goal is not only to restore this site, but also to attract investors. As Sri Lanka heavily imports chemicals required for various industries, we will assess the available resources in this region. identify opportunities and develop a high-quality manufacturing hub. The necessary fundings has been allocated and we are committed to making this vision a reality.
කෙමිකල් නිෂ්පාදන කර්මාන්ත පුරයක් මේ ස්ථානයේ ඉදිකරන තමයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. ඒ සඳහා අයවැයෙන් අපට මුදල් ප්‍රතිපාදන වෙන් වෙලා තියෙනවා. අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු අපි ඉදිරි කාලෙදී සිදු කරනවා.
Minister Handulnethi also inspected the progress of salt production during his visit to the Elephant Pass salt turn in Kilinochchi. Meanwhile, the first phase of operations at the Mulathu Old Sudan porcelain factory, which falls under the Sri Lanka Ceramics Corporation, resumed yesterday, 35 years after the factory's closure in 1990. Minister Handulnethi also visited the Achuveli industrial zone in Jaffna. Later, the minister and his team toured the Kankasanture cement factory, a subsidiary of the Sri Lanka Cement Corporation, where they engaged in discussions about the potential restart of cement production. Another program under the Clean Sri Lanka initiative took place in Colombo today. The Clean Sri Lanka program was carried out in front of the National Hospital today.
There are thousands of patients coming to this hospital on a daily basis. The environment is generally rather sanitary, but especially because of how many people come here on a daily basis, this area does become unclean. So we wanted to be able to contribute in some way. So the citizens of Colombo today have come together. This requires for the community, requires for citizens, requires for government entities to come together to ensure that we take this forward, and that this is the only way to make it sustainable. The residents of the area volunteered in the program. On to news overseas now. A South Carolina man convicted of bludgeoning his ex-girlfriend's parents to death has become the first U.S. death row inmate to be executed by firing squad in the last 15 years. Brad Sigmund was shot to death just by 3 State Corrections Department volunteers firing rifles at his chest with specially designed bullets. 67-year-old Sigmund was convicted of murdering David and Gladys Lark with a baseball bat in 2001 before kidnapping his ex-girlfriend at gunpoint. She managed to escape as he shot at her. He had requested death by firing squad over the other 2 state-approved methods of execution, electric chair and lethal injection. Christy Shane of the South Carolina Department of Corrections said Sigmund was pronounced dead by a doctor at 6:08 p.m. 3 members of the Lark family were present to witness his death, as well as Sigmund's spiritual advisor. Since 1977, only 3 people had died by firing squad, all 3 of them in the state of Utah. The last to die had been Ronnie Lee Gardner in 2010. Ahead of Sigmund's execution, anti-death penalty protesters held a rally outside the jail in the city of Columbia.
We are a large tent, and this is a thing that we all agree with. We're going to make sure that everybody has.
South Carolina passed a law in 2023 requiring that the identities of the execution team members remain secret. On Happy Headlines tonight, we take a look at one more celebration in line with the International Women's Day. Ride Colombo, an inspiring all-women cycling event at the Golf Face Green.
Happy Headlines.
Ride Colombo brought together women from all walks of life to showcase unity, strength and the joy of cycling. Participants embarked on a memorable ride, embodying empowerment and camaraderie while supporting a special CSR initiative. 100% of the proceeds from the event's ticket sales will go towards empowering women in tourism. The initiative will fund training and equipment for female biker guides, opening up new career opportunities in the tourism sector. The Sirasa TV Magic Ice Cream Carnival officially kicked off today at the Ahaliagoda Public Sports Ground. We're with you tonight with details of the event. Good night.
The Sirasa TV Magic Ice Cream Carnival promises a fun-filled experience for both young and old, with a variety of activities and attractions lined up throughout the day. The carnival will continue tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the Ahaliagoda Public Sports Ground, offering more opportunities to enjoy the fun and win prizes.